All right. First question. After seeing your previous webinar and guest post and experiencing crappy sellers myself, I've decided to bring link outreach in-house and offer this to clients. How would you go about outreach and pricing to clients? I'm hesitant to use my agency website as the email address. Would you suggest Gmail personas or another random domain? A random domain. And I don't. So yeah, don't use your agency domain for cold outreach. Okay. Because you can burn your domain, and then transactional emails. So communication with customers, clients won't inbox either. So you want to have a separate domain for cold emailing, and I always recommend buying 2 cold emailing domains and warm them both up properly. I've gone through this extensively myself over the last 2 years. But you want to warm those emails up. Okay. I recommend, and just give me a minute. Let me, well, Adam, if you're an SM short link, can you grab the one for Folderly?
Sure.
Just search Folderly and that should pop right up. I think it's smshort.link/Folderly. Anyway, that's the best email warm-up service I've used, period. It costs $49 a month, I think, but you get unlimited amount of emails or domains that you email accounts or domains or both that you want to add to it. And it works phenomenally well. It's by far the best email warm-up service that I've used. And I've used many over the last 2 years testing, because I've done a lot of cold emailing for prospecting. So yeah, you want to have 2 separate domains. And I always recommend that you start warming both of them up. But once one of them is properly warmed up, which generally takes about a month, once it's properly warmed up, then go with that email and leave the other one in the warming function or feature or whatever, connected to the warming service, and keep that one just as kind of a standby, a reserve, in case you burn the email that the domain that you're using for cold outreach, which can happen. If you end up burning that one, then you have another one that's already pre-warmed up and ready to go. And all you got to do is swap it out. So a couple other things you want to keep in mind. You don't want to have agency or marketing or any of that kind of stuff in the title or in the domain name itself. Those are trigger words that can trip a spam filter a lot easier. So you don't want to use any kind of words like that. What I recommend that you do is, if you have a brand that has agency or SEO or marketing or something like that in the title, in the brand name, then you wouldn't want to use that same kind of a domain, even with a different extension. What I'm getting at is like with Tree Care HQ, because I do a lot of cold email prospecting with for my Tree Care HQ agency. So I have treecarehq.net, .org.us. I've got a number of those that I use for cold outreach emails. And then I just forward each one of those domains to my root domain, which is treecarehq.com. That's my directory site. So whenever I'm sending an email, and only those of us that are, savvy about this kind of stuff would look at the email address and then go visit the domain extension, the domain that's associated with the email address to see what it's about. I do that all the time. When I get solicitation emails, I'll check and I'll go visit the domain. And a lot of the times, which is funny, a lot of these people doing cold outreach, they don't have it forwarded. Their cold sending domain, they don't have it forwarded to their actual brand. A lot of the times it's just a broken, it's a 404 error, or a site doesn't exist or whatever. When you could go try to visit that domain, you should set up a redirect and redirect it to your agency site, right? Or something else, a landing page or something that provides a little bit of information, so that those that are, inquiring about, who is this sending me an email, and they go visit that domain, it establishes like some trust and credibility, and that there's something there. I get a lot of cold emails where I go visit the domain that's associated with the email, and there's nothing there. And it's like, okay, well, they just lost my confidence. I'm not going to reply back to this, even if I was potentially interested. So what I'm saying is, you set up cold sending domains, and you can use your brand name as the domain, just with different extensions, as long as your brand does not have SEO, marketing, agency, things like that in it. If it does, then don't use your brand. Use something else, use something similar, or even personalized domain names, like after a name. Like I own bradleybenner.com. I could use that. I wouldn't want to use that because I wouldn't want to burn it, but you could use your own name and just get some various domain extensions, or whoever's doing your outreach, get their domain names after them. Why I like to use that is because that adds a little bit of a personal experience. I would still forward the domain to the agency, or at least to a landing page that gives some information about, essentially what it is that you do, or your company does, your agency does. you might as well just forward it to your agency site is what I'm saying. But I would, having a personal name, domain name that you send your emails from tends to get opened a bit more, if that makes sense, than coming from a corporation, a company type of domain. So, and I've tested that too. So now I just use Tree Care HQ because I'm not acting as an agency, I'm acting as a directory. And so it's not like a solicitation type of email, at least not initially. Initially, it's just the first email is just like, hey, I'm just trying to confirm that I have the correct contact information for your directory page on treecarehq.com. Can you confirm? And so I'm not worried about that. But when I was doing a lot of pitch emails prior to setting up my directory, I would use bradleybenner.com. I've used that in the past. I've also used like kind of various like generic kind of named domains, but I would still forward them to your agency. As far as pricing, I really don't know. What I would do is maybe check some of the other, if you run an agency, you probably get pitched, dozens of times per week from link builders. I do all the time. I get cold emails sent to me all the time from people, link builders, freelance link builders that are selling guest posts and things like that. Sometimes they'll get, if I reply, they'll send me a CSV file or an Excel file with all their sites and all they ever list is the traditional metrics. So PA, DA, UR, and DR, those metrics that I don't give a damn about. That's all they ever list. But you could check those, like go through some of your emails. If you get those kind of emails, like I said, I get several of them per week. And you could check and see what kind of pricing they're doing just to kind of gauge what some of the competition is doing that are selling guest posts and outreach services. You could go look on some of the bigger link building providers that do that kind of work, but they're uber expensive. And I can tell you that, that's up to you. If you can get fetch those kind of prices from your clients, by all means do it. But like what I mean by that is like One Little Web or Authority Link Builders Authority Builders or getmelinks.com, which was recently purchased. Those types of sites that sell guest post and link insertions and outreach services and things like that, and get a look at their pricing. Some of those are the more expensive ones. A lot of those links start at $150 per link. Another good service that you could look at for pricing, which I think is incredibly expensive, is Loganix. We talked about Loganix for years. We know Adam Steele, who owns it. We chatted with him a few times. Loganix has got the best, and that's Loganix. They have a citation cleanup service that is fantastic. And I also like their monthly citation service. It's $79 a month, and they build citations, both structured and unstructured citations on a monthly basis. They're great. So I use Loganix, but if you can sign up for a free account at Loganix or whatever to get into the dashboard, and then they have guest post service, like they have, high dollar link building services that are guest posts and things like that. And you can go in there and check it out, man. I mean, I think they start at like $175. I've seen links in there for $4,000, one link, no kidding. So, but they have a big list of sites or kind of services that, again, they're a white label SEO services provider for agencies, but they cater to higher end agencies, like big brand agencies that serve big brand customers. That's why they can get away with the kind of pricing that they charge. So I'm just trying to give you some ideas on how to price. I don't price like that. I price my links at a very reasonable price so that there's plenty of room for my clients, which are agencies or consultants, to be able to provide to hire me to provide link building services for them. Then they can, and there's still a lot of profit room in there for my clients, which are agencies or consultants, if that makes sense. So, again, that's part of the reason I got away from using, well, besides the fact that they just weren't as effective. I was spending between $150 to $400 per link, and I wasn't getting any results, or at least not the kind of results I should be getting for that kind of price. And I'm able to provide better results for considerably less, with topically relevant domains. So anyway, that's what I would suggest. Using different domains for sure. Warming them up properly. Folderly is a fantastic warm-up service. And then as far as pricing, just kind of start looking around and getting some ideas from what what the competition is doing, and then kind of price accordingly. Right. That's all I can say.